This is part 2 of the 2 lecture videos for week 5 of Career and Employment Resources. If you've not already watched part 1, please do go and watch that video first. In this second video, we're going to have a look at the concept of universal resources. So in previous weeks, we have looked at a number of resources that fit specifically with the 3 stages: who am I, what's out there, and how do I get there? And each week we have gone in depth on some of those resources and explored them fully so that you could compile your list of resources in the 3 categories. However, some resources do cover all 3 steps of the career life planning model, and these resources are a bit like one-stop shopping. So can be useful to have a resource that covers all 3 areas, and there may be some that you will go to and you will use regularly in your work with clients because they do cover all 3. In order for a resource to be considered a universal resource, it needs to provide information in all 3 areas: who am I, what's out there, and how do I get there? So universal resources will have, under the Who Am I category, some form of assessment tool or process. It doesn't necessarily have to be a checklist type of tool or a question and answer kind of survey. It could be other types of things that are provided on the website for clients to explore their skills and values, their needs, their achievements, their personal style, and so on. It also needs to provide what's out there information, access to occupational descriptions, occupational outlooks, wages, educational pathways, and so on. And then lastly, it also needs to cover how do I get there? So universal resources would provide information on specific educational or training programs, links to application information, for example, job banks, and so on. So any universal resource that you want to consider as a universal resource needs to cover all 3 of these areas in some way. Now, these are good examples of universal resources, and I think you will be familiar with the first 3 on the list. The last one, Talent Egg, is a little bit different. It's not one that we have looked at as yet, but all 4 of these resources, do cover all 3 of the categories. Each and every one of them have resources under Who Am I to help individuals explore themselves. Most of them will connect the Who Am I information from whatever results the client gets from that exploration on the site, will connect that information to occupational descriptions and salaries and all of that good information. And then from there, it will connect those occupations to job banks and job opportunities. So universal resources, as I've said, really cover fully all 3 phases: who am I, what's out there, and how do I get there? So some of these, like the Alberta website and the Job Bank website, and I think even NCDA, that you've explored those in previous weeks. But now I encourage you to go back and have another look at them and see if you can clearly identify the different aspects that fit with who am I, what's out there, and how do I get there. And then also do the same thing with the Talent Egg website. Very important, again, each week that you are exploring these websites fully and that you are putting them on your list. So now you will have a 4th category of universal resources, and that you see if you can find 1 or 2 others to add to the list and explore them fully. Again, part of the point behind this is so that when you go out in the field, you do have a good list of resources that you have checked thoroughly, that you know using the ABCD model are good resources that you can share with clients, and that they're readily available to you. So you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about, I want to give this client a Who Am I resource, or I want to give them a universal resource. You don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about that. You've already got your list compiled. So that's all I'm going to say about universal resources. Do please go ahead and explore these links and just see if you can identify the Who Am I, what's out there, and how do I get their information that is provided on each one. Lastly, for this week's material, I just want to touch briefly on the concept of 3 golden rules. So when we are working with career and employment information in the field, these are 3 rules that you want to keep in mind. First of all, no one career development practitioner can know it all. Secondly, no client should leave without information that can help them. So whether you are working with a client face-to-face or you're working with them virtually, that whatever stage they're in, they should be provided with some information that can help them. And then the resources that you used must POP. I use the little acronym POP for people, online, and print. So let me just explain a bit more fully what each of those rules means. So first of all, no one CDP can know it all. And if you are the kind of person who likes to be knowledgeable, likes to be able to respond to people's questions and to, be kind of an expert in your field, it's going to be challenging working in this field because there's always new information. There are always new tools and resources to learn about. So no matter how long you work in the field, you cannot know everything there is to know about all the occupations, resources, programs, etc. Things are always changing. Some things go off the market, new things are released, new information, new trends. So you really can't know it all. What you do need to do is you have an ethical obligation to be as up to date and knowledgeable as you can. So that's why it's very important that you have an action plan in place, and that's going to be one of your assignments in this course for staying up to date. What are the resources that you're going to have a look at on a regular basis to ensure that you do stay up to date? How often are you going to access them, and what information will you be able to get from them that will help you to stay up to date? But know that no matter how much time you devote to looking at new things each week, you will stay up to date to some extent. It is really not possible to know it all. Do not be afraid to say to a client, that's a very interesting question. I'm not sure about the answer to that. Let's go online, or let's talk to this person, or whatever you feel the appropriate course of action is. Let's go and explore this further and see if we can find the information that you need. So it's perfectly fine to say that you don't know something and that you need to go and do some research to find that information. The second rule is no client should leave without information that can help them. So as we have talked about extensively in this course, always use the three-stage model to determine where the client is, and then give them tools and resources that fit with their stage. If they're coming in at the Who Am I stage, you don't want to give them resources on doing a resume because they're really not ready to do that. That's part of how do I get there. If the client is really clamoring for that information and really insisting, no, I want to start my resume, then it's quite all right to give them something to get them started. But you want to try and give them tools and resources that fit with their apparent stage based on where they're at when you're working with them. And do ensure that the client walks away with relevant information and, most importantly, a clear action plan. So we do not, again, you don't want to overwhelm clients with information. Here's 5 pages of links to have a look at. We don't want to do that. We want to break things down to the smallest pieces that we can, make sure that they're leaving with good, relevant information, and that we've helped them to determine exactly what they're going to do. And that's a primary goal in any session that you're going to have with a client. They should be leaving with a very clear action plan. And then the last rule, your resources must POP, and POP stands for people, online, and print. So don't rely on Google for everything. We talked earlier in the course about the importance of being well-rounded in the resources that you look at and not just using Google as a search engine all the time. Continue expanding your network when we talk about people so that you have other people in the field to consult. And then ensure that you develop a reliable list of online resources. And that's really one of the primary things that this course, I hope, has helped you to do. So develop your list of online resources, use the ABCD model, and ensure that you keep it updated. And then do have some print resources, and I put that in quotes because it's really difficult right now in the age of the pandemic. We're not going to have hard copy books or other print resources we can actually hand to a client because we're not really meeting with them face to face right now. But print resources could be in digital form. If you have particular books that you think are very, very useful, see if you can find out whether they're available in digital form. Some people still do prefer those things, and everybody's got a different sort of level of how much information they can take in. So some people might really like the idea of here's a really complete handbook on everything you need to do in job interviews. Other people may need to have that broken down. So you might need to look for individual little modules or information or articles online, for example, that you can provide to clients. So your resources should POP, and you want to really try and provide a well-rounded, really people would be your own resource, and then the online and print resources would be the ones that you would provide to your clients. So important that you do remember those three golden rules when you're working in the field with clients. So just to finish off our lecture for this week, you will be doing this week your case study assignment. It is due at midnight Sunday at the end of this week. I have posted the case study instruction package under course assignments and deadlines, and a video is also posted reviewing the case study instruction package. And if you go back to week 4, you will see that there are some sample case studies that are also posted for you to try out. So if you would like to give those a try, you can have a look at those first and then go on to do the case study assignment. And of course, as always, let me know if you need an extension on that assignment. So for this week, you would like to, or you should be finishing and submitting your case study assignment. And then please ensure that you visit and explore every Universal website that is listed on this PowerPoint, and then add these websites to the list of resources that you're compiling. And again, you're going to need this list for the case study assignment and for the final test. Do try to find at least 2 or 3 additional Universal resources to add to your list. The resources that have been provided to you in the course each week are really just meant as a very beginning framework for you in compiling your resource list. Very, very important that you continue to expand on that and look for new resources that you can add to your list. So that is all for this week, and thank you for your attention. And again, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to let me know.